And to all of our listeners, with us in the studio are UBC women's hockey goaltender Tory Micklash.
Hi.
And defender Mikayla Ogrodniczuk.
Hi.
First of all, huge congratulations on the big Canada West quarterfinals win over the weekend against the Huskies. Special shout out goes to Tory for a 38-save shutout performance. For those of our listeners that missed the series, the women's team defeated the Saskatchewan Huskies twice in overtime, including a Game 2 shutout win in double OT. Well, first off, tell us a bit about yourselves. Maybe what year you're in, what you're studying at UBC.
Sure. I'm in my 4th year at UBC. I'm studying kinesiology, originally from Manitoba, so studying abroad, I guess.
Right on.
And I'm in my 5th year. I'm studying kinesiology as well, and I'm actually from the Point Grey campus here at UBC.
Awesome. And you were telling me you went to St. Pat's originally, right, Mikayla?
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. So maybe a good place to start would be to take a trip down memory lane. Tell us a little bit about the decision to play hockey growing up and maybe your earliest hockey memory.
Yeah, I started playing hockey when I was 5, kind of just something that was in the family, so didn't really have an option there, and became a goalie when I was 8. And I don't know, there's a lot of good memories, but it's definitely probably the biggest part of my life is hockey.
Why goalie?
My dad was a goalie, and so was my grandpa, so it was kind of just following their footsteps.
Yeah, and for me, I started when I was 9. My dad and my brother played before I did, so I would always watch them, and I really wanted to go join them, so that's kind of how it started. Yeah, for me, the same. There's so many memories. Favorite hockey memory? I don't know if there is one. Maybe winning Can West in my first year and the trip all the way to the national final.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty good memory.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Is there any particular reason why you chose UBC over any other schools here in Canada West or the country?
For me, it was a really easy choice because I actually grew up down the street. So I grew up watching the girls in blue and gold, and that was kind of the biggest dream I had was to wear the Thunderbird when I was older. So it was when I had the chance to play here, I took it really fast.
Yeah, for me, a big part was obviously just the school itself is very appealing to study here, but outside of that, just the team, the environment, the coaches, it was all really good situation, a great fit for me. So.
And coming from Manitoba, Tory, was there a big difference that you noticed about British Columbia right away when you first got here, or?
Weather, definitely.
Weather?
Yeah. Yeah, not missing those cold Manitoba winters.
Right.
Yeah, just really, really good environment. It's a very cool city to experience, and I'm definitely happy I made this choice.
So a lot of our listeners and us as well, we don't really know or understand like the amount of work, dedication it takes to be varsity athlete here at UBC, being a member of the hockey team. Like, what does a day or a week of your life look like, especially during the season and during the playoffs right now?
Typical day would be practice for about an hour and a half, and then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, we go up into the gym after practice for about an hour, and that varies depending on the day of the week, but some form of workout. And then obviously just your classes, so most athletes, or at least most of the girls on the team are in 4 classes, but there's the few brave ones that dare to take 5. And then we play pretty much every Friday and Saturday. So on a travel weekend, we take off on Thursday, fly to wherever we're going. We fly everywhere, which is pretty nice. We're pretty lucky to have that opportunity. And then typically we'd return back to Vancouver on the Saturday night.
And that leaves Sunday to do all of your studying and all of your grocery shopping and whatnot?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, four classes is quite a lot if you're doing hour-and-a-half practices like every day.
On top of
of a couple of games and the gym.
Right.
It seems like you got enough on your plate there.
Yeah.
And on that subject, are there certain things that are restricted? Are there certain things that you cannot do in terms of activities, nutrition, certain foods you can't eat? Or is that kind of left up to you?
In terms of like rules and stuff, the only hard set in stone one we have is our 48-hour rule for alcohol, just because of its impact on performance, and obviously leading up to games we don't want to be messing around.
So 48 hours before you don't have any.
Yeah, we're not allowed any. In terms of nutrition and activities, we're kind of just expected to be adults in this situation and know what's right to eat and what is good for our performance and what will help us and what to avoid. So in that sense, we don't really have anything that's set in stone. Yeah.
Right on. And then we're going to segue into something a little bit more, I like to think it's funny, right, Jake?
Yeah, sure.
When it comes to superstition in sport, a lot of athletes treat the subject differently. And there's even a bit of a divide in the studio sometimes over what can and cannot be said. Right, Jake?
I have no comment.
I don't know if you have listened to the show, but we have a new segment where Jake likes to make predictions about outcomes of games. And I think he's been right once.
Well, I think, 1 for 4 so far.
One for 4. Some of them were to do with hockey that didn't go our way. But that's all right. We won't worry about that right now. But I'm sure, as you know, being athletes, certain sports have different superstitions. For example, in baseball, you can't say no-hitter when a pitcher's throwing a no-hitter. And in hockey, I think one of the biggest ones is being the last one off the ice in warm-up, or if you're a goalie, saying the word shutout when you're sporting a shutout. So just wanted to get your thoughts on this. What do you think about superstition? And is there anything that either of you do before a game, something that has to be done, or you feel that you might be out of whack? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think, typically I'm pretty sure goalies are mostly superstitious, but that's the one thing I just try not to be. This is probably going to be a boring answer for you, but
No.
but I just try not to be, because I know you don't want it to become a chore, right? Or something
Right.
that that's what all you're thinking about is making sure I do these certain steps before I play. So I just try to be loose, have a good attitude, and just try to enjoy it. I think I play my best when I'm having fun, so yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of the approach I take.
If it was the third period and there was 5 minutes left in the game, and one of your defenders came up to you and said, "Can't wait for you to get this shutout," would you be upset?
They better block the next shot.
What about you, Mikayla? Do you have any superstitions, anything you have to do before a game?
I wouldn't necessarily call them superstitions. Tori likes to call me a creature of habit. So I have lots of things that I'll do throughout the day that kind of help me focus on the game. But if I don't have the chance to do them, I don't go crazy over them. But yeah, I like taping my stick in the stands before games and stuff like that. So nothing crazy out of this world, superstitious, but yeah.
And you were telling me when we first met that there is a certain pregame meal that you must have, though.
Yeah, I've actually gotten a lot better at not having to have this pregame meal. When I was younger, it was a must. I love my Alfredo pasta. So as unconventional as that is for an athlete's meal before a game, I do like it at home if I have the chance.
Were there exact measurements or serving size that you had to have?
No, absolutely not.
You guys have been around playing for the Thunderbirds for a few years. You're both seniors. Mikayla, you mentioned going to the Nationals in your first year, something that really stuck out for you. What are some other memorable UBC moments that you guys have had over the last few years?
There have been so many. 5 years is a long time when you think about it. Yeah, personally, I've gotten the chance to go to 2 national championships as well as win 2 CanWest titles, which has been really cool. We went on the longest win streak in program history at one point. And yeah, we've had so many good times at the rink and outside of the rink as well.
Yeah, I don't know if all the rink memories are
Yeah.
allowed to be mentioned, but there's a really good group of girls that we're surrounded by every day, so really good friendships have come of it and a lot of good memories and fun things to reminisce about.
Tory being humble, not mentioning breaking the program record for wins and shutouts.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems
That's
like
your
a good
job.
memory.
I have to be the one that pumps you up. You can't do it yourself. Yeah.
Were there any memories maybe to do with UBC, something to do not with hockey, maybe to do with university instead?
I always associate everything university with hockey. I think it's just consumes so much of our time that it's almost hard to, for me anyways, to really separate or differentiate the two. But
They're just intertwined.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's fair enough, absolutely. I wanted to ask about where this past weekend would rank, because back-to-back overtime playoff wins against a higher-seeded team, one where you overcame a 2-0 deficit, and one that was a double overtime shutout. In terms of everything that's happened over the years you've been at UBC, where does that rank?
I would say this is probably the most up and down season we've ever had. So kind of to go into playoffs and really start to find our groove and come out on top was exactly what we needed, and we definitely well earned, and we celebrated like we won the championship, so clearly it meant a lot to us. Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience.
Definitely, and I think we can probably carry on with some of the off-the-ice things that both of you are involved in, and the Athletes Hub is not the only off-ice news you've been involved with. Almost exactly 1 year ago, ahead of last season's playoffs, you tweeted, when your team has to move their playoff games to accommodate the men's team who finished lower in the standings. Gender equality, I think not. Another example of women at university being passed over for men at UBC Pres at UBC. Is there any backstory behind that tweet?
There is. So last year we were going into playoffs, and we had clinched home ice advantage, and we were set to play at home, and the guys ended up doing the same thing, and so we were told one day that we were changing our ice time to the earlier slot, and that there was nothing we could do about it at that point in time. So that's kind of where the frustration came, just because we had clinched the higher ranking and had done it first, and were higher in the standings. So that's where that story came from.
And what was the initial reaction or follow-up to it, and has anything really changed since then?
Yeah, action was pretty quick on that one. And so out of it, there was a policy that when two teams are at home, that it's not automatically given to the men, the better time slot. So that's kind of what came out of it. And I know that there were quite a few schools across the country that ended up taking action right away and gave their women's hockey team the preferred time slot that they had wanted when they were actually going to bump them. So.
And that ties into kind of the bigger picture question in that, how does being women in college sports affect both of you, and how much of a difference do you see from the male athletes? I know it's a bit of a loaded question.
There's definitely still a lot of gap in between the men's and women's programs in many institutions in Canada, and I think that the years that we've both been playing here, it's definitely improved in the support and the resources that we've been given, so that's something that's really exciting, and kudos to UBC for doing. And so I think for us, we just try and be good role models for the younger girls coming up and hoping to play for UBC one day.
Now, you guys are both seniors on the team. How have you guys taken on that role of being veteran leaders for the squad?
Well, Mikayla's been part of the leadership group, assistant captain for, I want to say 2 or 3 seasons now, and so obviously that's decided by her teammates, so it speaks to what they see in her as a great on-ice and off-ice leader. Myself, I just go more on-ice, I think. I'm a bit of a quiet person, so I just try to lead by example on the ice and just perform my best every day.
38 saves for a shutout. It's a good way to lead the team.
Well, if you're more of a lead by example, Mikayla, do you see yourself as a similar mold, or are you someone who likes to speak up and try and lead in that way, like within the locker room on the ice?
I'm definitely, I think, similar to Tory in that I like to try and lead by example, and pick my words wisely if I do say them. Yeah, it's just something that I've tried to do in my time in the leadership group, is just the best way to lead is to show how it should be done, I guess, for a lack of better words.
Her nickname's Mama O, so she kind of, takes care of everyone.
The motherly figure of the team.
Yeah.
Of course.
Is there anything in particular you guys have learned from your multiple years of playing here at UBC? Like in terms of leadership, in terms of other off-the-ice qualities?
Yeah, I think leadership-wise, I've definitely had to come out of my shell a little bit, and I've been put in challenging situations that have helped me grow. I think those are just like invaluable skills that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. So I'm really grateful to be put in these tough situations to kind of come outside of my shell a little bit.
Yeah, I'd say the same. It's not always easy being put under that pressure, so I think you learn to accept it and rise to the occasion. So that's something that we've definitely had to learn.
And I think we can segue into something a little bit more fun, shall we say. Now, it's going to require a speck of honesty. These questions are going to be rapid fire style, and we don't want you to necessarily rip on your teammates. We just want you to be honest. So we'll ask both of you, and we'll start off with, who is the best dressed Thunderbird?
Most fashionable.
Most fashionable, better way to put it.
Emily Moore.
Oh, Sheely Tony.
Okay, how about the worst dressed?
Myself.
Yeah, I probably fall in that category too.
Falling on your own sword.
See, that's leadership qualities right there. Taking the nod for being the worst dressed and the least fashionable.
Not throwing anyone under the
Not
bus.
throwing anybody under the bus. What about the best taste in music? If you need to get fired up before a game, you're going into the finals. Who's the person that's going to jump on their phone on Spotify and get it going?
Ireland Parrot.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have consensus on that.
Yeah.
Worst taste in music?
Depends on what kind of music you like, honestly.
There's not one that
No.
comes to the top of my head, if I'm being honest.
Again, leadership.
Leadership, absolutely. How about favorite TV show at the moment?
Grey's Anatomy.
I don't have cable. I don't know.
Netflix?
I'm not watching anything at the moment.
Fair enough. Favorite?
Student athlete, you know.
Oh, of course. I mean, when you only have Sunday to get your studying done, it's kind of tough. Favorite junk food?
Anything candy,
Ice
sugar,
cream.
Yeah.
Okay. Most superstitious player on the team?
Ryland.
Yeah, Ryland McKinnon.
Really?
Is there anything particular
Yeah.
that she does?
She's got her routines.
Yeah. I just stay away. don't get in her way.
Go-to study spot on campus?
Other than at home,
I don't study.
life side.
Those aren't leadership qualities.
Life side is where
Life
you can usually
I've
find your
been
team.
going to Loaf recently.
Loaf is good.
Yeah.
I can back
Nice
that up.
lighting.
And Jake, I'll let you ask
Yeah.
the last one here because
Final question for you guys. Predictions for the semifinals this weekend.
Huge win.
Yeah, we're coming home to go to Canvas Finals.
Jake, take note.
I'll keep that in mind.
And I think with that, that's all that we have. So we want to just, again, extend our thanks for joining us on the show. We wish you the best of luck going forward. And when that game comes around, we will definitely be watching. We will definitely be cheering. So Mikayla, Tory, thank you again for coming. We hope to see you again soon.
Is
Thank
there
you.
anything you guys want to add before you head out?
Go Birds.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Fantastic.